Kitty!
Oh, it's good to be back. How are you doing? Are you alright? Oh, you alright? You're looking great. You're looking great. You're all looking gorgeous, smelling gorgeous. And we are back again. It's me, it's Kitty Cassis. Cassis like the dark, sweet, viscous, slightly sickly liqueur. Only tolerable in very small doses. It's Calling Kitty. Welcome. If you've tuned in every week, then a blue pizza badge for you, or I don't know, some kind of. I'm going to get a kitty badge. How's that? A kitty litter badge for you. And if you've never tuned in before, welcome. Please feel like we're giving you a great big hug around your cochlear implants. Maybe you don't have a cochlear implant. Maybe your cochlear's just fine. Round your eardrum, we're giving you a great big hug. This is Calling Kitty. It's an audio podcast and it's got a visual element. In the show notes, you'll find a little YouTube link and you can actually go and watch me in my full glory today. I've actually got some gorgeous highlights in me hair. I've done my nails this morning, and you know I've gone for this natural look. I just wanted to look like an English rose for you today. Calling Kitty, it's a podcast. We just drop into your little inbox every week with just a little smattering, just a little Amuse, Bouche, before you go and listen to your big podcast, you know, your big ones that are like 2 hours long, and you know, you get your big jobs done with that. You might wash the car, you might I don't know, you might pluck somebody's back hair, and that would take you a good 2 hours. And you know, your big chunky podcast, that's when you can do that. But this is for those little jobs, you know, if you've just got I don't know, you just need to fry up some spam and pop that on a Ryvita cracker, and that might only take you just 20 minutes, and that's what we are here for. That's what this is here for. And you can get in touch with me. Maybe you want to get in touch with me. Maybe you're one of the 17 people who do actually subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you want to like get in touch and tell me about myself. Well, you can do that by going to Hiya It's Me Kitty. That's HIYAITSMEKITTY on all the platforms. You know, you name it. We've got we're on the TikToks. I've been doing loads on the TikToks. It's quite sad actually to see a woman in her late 60s just recording TikToks from the middle of a field. I've actually been at a festival this week, gang. I don't know if you've ever been to a festival. Have you ever been to a festival in a field? Bloody hell. I mean, things aren't the same, are they? Do you know what I mean? Once you've done that, once you've kind of put yourself in that situation. I mean, I saw Jasper Carrot headlining on the top deck of a London bendy bus in a field in Somerset somewhere. And you might be saying, Kitty, hang on a minute, the bendy bus, it doesn't have a top deck. This one did, cock. All right, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what the engineering structure was doing. I don't know what hallucinogens we were all taking. But that was the situation. And in a way, we just kind of accepted that. Do you know what I mean? And I was doing me TikTokers. I even revived the old MySpace account from a wigwam. And, you know, that I found that my numbers bumped just ever so slightly. So if you do want to go and check that out, I'm also on the Instagram. I'm on the Facebooks. And you can come and see me. Come and see what I'm doing. One thing I will say about going to a festival in the middle of a field. I mean, listen, back in the day, I would just give John 10 quid, climb over his ladder, and I'd be in the chill out zone. I'd be in the chill out field. It's a little bit different now. I had to use a different method. What I'm actually doing is I'm doing Portaloos refurbs in situ. You heard it here first. As we all know, using the conveniences at festivals, situations like that, it's a bit grimy, isn't it, to say the least. It's you have to really dig deep, and you have to really kind of like tap into some spiritual different level You just never know what you're going to find, and you never know where you're going to find it. But what I do, and I only charge a very small amount for this service. I will actually upcycle a Portaloo whilst I'm using it. Okay, so I take a roll of wallpaper. I take me blue, my blue cloth, and I give it a good old clear out. I've got my plug-in Glade. I've got my Febreze, and basically I will leave that toilet not as I found it, because let's face it, that is a shit show. I will upgrade the toilet as I'm coming out of it, and my word soon spread. Okay, word soon spread to the top field and the bottom field that really, if you need to go to the lavatory, just follow Kitty Cassis. A lot of people get paranoid, don't they, when that green plastic door flaps behind them, and they think, oh Christ, please, nobody associate me with the crime that's been left in there. I don't want to be number one suspect. But for me, I walk out of there and it is just like, I was going to say animated flowers, imagine those around my head, but it was actually petals cascading, from my crown, wherever I went. Yeah, and that is one good thing about coming to a festival with me. I took my Henry Hoover with me, so I walk across the fields, just doing the shake and vac. And I made a killing. I've got to be honest. A lot of people come away from these festivals. They are like ravaged emotionally, financially, spiritually. But I come away and my cup is full. Okay, and also my Henry Hoover bag is also full as well. But my wallet is full, and my soul is full, and my heart is bulging with good vibes. I saw Anita Dobson and David Hasselhoff. They were working on their vegan falafel stall, and I said, "Hiya, Cat," and we looked, and they knew that I knew that they knew that we all knew what goes on, and what used to go on many, many times when we used to do those festivals. It's different now. It's all changed now. I know that people say that a lot, and they say, it wasn't like that in my day. The vibes were great. I'm not going to lie to you. They were good. But there is just a corporate element, and that's not always a bad thing, treasures. It's not like, obviously capitalist greed is a bad thing. But it's the same humans having the same emotions, the same 15-year-old, 16-year-old, GCSE result carrying young people just looking to make memories. All right. And I'm there to help them do that. And I did a DIY gastric band in a canvas tent. Never done that before. It was messy. And I think once the healing has... once the bruises have healed, I think we'll get a good testimonial out of them. But yeah, listen, I was doing the rounds like I always am. So look out for me. I'm going to be travelling up and down the length and breadth and width of this fair nation of ours. I'm actually doing all the Masonic halls with my alternative therapy, and you can find out all about me at higheritsmekitty.com. So you can go there. And if you do want to get in touch with me, you know how to get in touch with me. You can leave a nasty comment, because I will pour over that at 2:00 in the morning. Treasure, I'm only human. That's one way to get me attention. Or you can just actually sort of get in touch with me through the tea leaves. That's another way. You can get a pigeon carrier. We've had that before. Now I have got a feeling, and again I get my tingles, don't they? And I'm getting tingle up my spine right now. I feel like somebody is actually trying to get in touch with me and wants to talk to me. Let's just see if I can harness that and bring that through. We've listen. Sometimes you've got. Oh, did you hear that, treasures? And we've got somebody on the line. Hello, treasure. What's your name? Where you're from?
Hello.
What you're on?
Hi, Kitty. It's me, Martin J Dixon, living in Croydon, and I've had a milkshake actually. So there we go.
Oh, fabulous. What flavour, Treasure?
It was fudge brownie, the best to my mind. But yeah, it was good. It was good.
And Croydon sounds absolutely fabulous and glamorous. Are you well on this day?
Do you know what? I actually feel like I've been in a fight. I've just moved house, and I changed my toilet seat yesterday. It took me 2 hours. I'm aching everywhere, but it's the ache of a job well done, so that's good.
Oh my God! Some people don't have a productive week. You've changed a toilet seat and moved in the same day. Can we just hold the space? Can we just have a moment? Let's just. And if you are tuning in on YouTube now, you can see that Martin is flushed with that kind of sense of achievement, really, and I hope that toilet seat knows it's gone to a good home and it's in a secure place. Is it?
Yeah. It's in a moment of transition, but I'm sure it will end up exactly where it needs to be.
Oh, fantastic! So, you've just moved to Croydon, have you?
Well, no, I lived in a different part of Croydon. I've just moved slightly closer to the station, so a lot of effort for a shorter commute, but still a shorter commute. It's pretty good.
It's worth it, Treasure. It's worth it. Believe me. On those mornings when you've maybe had too many chocolate fudge brownie milkshakes, and actually you need to be able to hunker down and get home sooner than what you were doing before. So it's worth it. Have you?
Yeah.
I've got my beverage here. I'm just going to wet my whistle. How are you? Tell me what's going on in your life, Treasure. What's going on?
Well, other than moving's a pretty big thing. Pretty big thing that's going
Huge.
on. Huge. I've got a new room though. It's got a new room set up, which is good. And so the reason I was getting in touch, I've got a sort of dilemma issue. So I've got a nice room now, nice space, and you can get into the bed either side of the bed. I think that's a really important thing for feng shui. So now I just want to make sure that I'm attracting the right people to that bed, the right person, really. My dilemma is, how do you find the right person? I think is the thing I'm not sure about.
Well, listen to this, right? There'll be a lot of people listening to this podcast now, and they might just stop dead in their tracks, actually, at this point. There is something about having a bed up against a wall that will actually... It's going to put you in a bad mood maybe every day. All right, so even if you can move that bed away from that wall, even just a shoebox width, do it, Treasure. All right, so that's my first call out to everyone. Have you moved from a situation where the bed was against the wall?
Yeah, so it was against the wall, and it was a big part of wanting to move, to be honest, and now it's in the middle of the room, so you can get just about either side of it, which is pretty good going.
Absolutely, and even if you're doing a side shimmy down that other side, and I can hear actually in your voice, Martin, there is that. It's like you are carrying a mental load, carrying a burden, if you like, and I can feel that has actually lifted. I can feel the shoulders sloping down, and just that's it. Let's all just take a breath and just relax the shoulders. And if you are slightly triggered by this conversation because there's no way that you can move that bed away from that wall, that's okay. It's something to aim for. It's something that we can envisage. And even if you're just metaphorically moving that bed away from that wall, that's the first thing. Because you're right, it's going to lead into the next thing, which is, what kind of mate are you attracting? Now, for me personally, and I don't know if you feel the same way, I mean, sometimes, let's face it, having a wall there can be quite handy, can't it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, if we just need to get a bit of purchase, sometimes if you just... Yeah. So we all know what we're talking about. I mean, I know that Denise, who listens to this podcast religiously, will be actually nodding her head vigorously at this point because, a lot of her repertoire, it does involve just having a wall to hold on to. But yeah, so
support, isn't it?
It is. It's an emotional support wall sometimes. So are you on the apps, or are you looking for a connection that is more traditional?
I think I'm open to both. I'm on the apps, obviously. You've got to be, I think, in this day and age. But
yeah.
who, who isn't exactly. In fact, actually, I'd like to be rid of them. They're taking up too much space on my phone. I think it's hard to pick one app, isn't it? So, yeah, but I'm open to meeting someone organically as well. That would be surprising, but I'd be welcome to it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I always say, and it's funny because all of my advice does seem to lead back to actually visiting a care home. Now, it may sound like the most bizarre piece of advice, but I will say that what I find, you've got a captive audience there, and let's face it, they're not out spending their money, so the savings are looking healthy, and that I find, listen, we're not mercenary, we're not gold diggers, but there is a financial element to this, We're all hardworking people. We're all earning our own crust. And we really don't want anybody kind of like... people need to be able to pay their own way, don't they? So, I mean, listen, you do get the most patient people in the world actually working at care homes. Obviously, they are not a captive audience, but obviously if they're doing those long 12-hour shifts, they do have to be there for all that time, don't they? So I'm not suggesting that you go and harass people in their workplace, but it's quite a nice organic way to meet people. And I found that, I sometimes go and do some spoken word poetry at my local care home, but I am also harvesting quite a lot of the organs of the clients that work there as well. So have you considered that, Martin?
That's a great shout. That's a really good start. And do you know what? It hadn't crossed my mind. But do you know what I do? There's something about an older man that's quite alluring. So yeah,
right.
that makes very good sense. It's a really good place to start. Although actually, famously, care homes aren't that well paid, so I don't know if the staff. Not that anyone has a chance with me, but if we're looking long term, I'd look away from people who worked there, who are obviously doing a wonderful job, but I just know it's not a well paid job,
I mean, it's not currently, but we are talking in July 2024. Who knows? We're on the cusp of a new age, aren't we? It feels like there is hope and optimism in the air. I think that we all have to start somewhere, don't we, Treasure? And that could be. I also, there's a lovely guy that pushes all the trolleys together at my local Aldi. And I won't say that he's propositioned me a few times, but maybe he's just seeking my advice. But again, I think that. Again, I'm not suggesting that anyone on this podcast who is listening to this goes and harasses anybody at their place of work. But I think that you can tell a lot about a person from the way that, like, their vibes at work, don't you think?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And actually, to be fair, a man who knows his way around a car park, not a bad thing. Someone who has he works with their body, with their hands. That's that's a pretty alluring trait, I would say, especially having spent about 2 hours trying to fit a toilet seat. If there was someone who was better suited to that, who wanted to appear in my life, they'd be welcome, definitely.
Absolutely. So if there's anybody who has got like experience with menial tasks and spatial awareness and just handy around the house, that is something that you're looking for, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are pretty major points for sure. And then maybe someone who likes to bake would be quite nice, because I like to bake, but I prefer to eat a bake than to bake it myself, really. So that would be nice. And I feel like it's kind of a nice, it's still quite hands-on, but it's maybe a softer hands-on kind of task. I think someone who had that kind of multitude would be attractive, I think.
I love that.
Someone who was. Yeah, maybe someone who was nice to look at, but not a model. But I feel like I could attract a model, but I don't
100%.
know if that's just because you can doesn't mean I want someone a bit more approachable, maybe.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking now, actually, what you do sometimes get, and listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I cannot help getting turned on by the star power when you go into Greg's. All right, Greg's the bakery. You go in there, and it's star power behind that counter, or the way that they are sliding those baking sheets in and sliding them back out, and service with a smile 100% of the time. So again, that is the running theme here is maybe approach somebody at their job, because at least we know that they've got a job. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's all. That's a good thing. That's a good thing to know. But have you got any hobbies, Martin? Have you got anything that would take you to places where maybe people are communing whilst they're not at work?
Yeah. So I like outdoor swimming, actually. And the last time I went for an outdoor swim, there was a man staring at me, and I feels very arrogant to say, but I'm sure he was. I'm really intently staring at me. And I thought, well, this is great because he's seen me in a swimming costume. When you know, you know. And he's seen me in a swimming costume, and that was alluring to him. So great. That's we can tick that box. Unfortunately, I made a real effort to walk past him as I left, and he didn't have the courage to say more than hello. But I feel like if I plan to go back the next Monday or the Monday after, and try and get him at the same time, I think it could be a bit of a goer, couldn't it? I reckon.
Absolutely. And what I find is that we are all creatures of habit. So you will find that particular, will be at the same place and the same time, and we can just make eye contact, and that's where it can start. And you've got to remember, people will probably be quite intimidated, Martin, because obviously when we are down to our layers, when we've delayered, when we are down to just really a piece of lycra is what we're talking about between you and him, and the day you were both born, because I presume was he swimming as well? So was he wearing underwear?
I think he had swam. Swam. I think he had, but he was that's a hard one. I think he had swum, but he was changed, so he was kind of. But then that's what makes me feel like he was waiting for me to get out of that lake.
Absolutely. He was, Let's face it. Once you've got out of that body of water, possibly covered in used condoms and tampons and whatever else is swimming in our, due to this.
Almost certainly.
Don't get political, Kitty, because we have to move on now. We have to look into the future. But so once you've got out of that water and you've got yourself dry and you've got yourself dressed, you are moving on to your next appointment, unless there is something that is holding your attention there. And on that day, Martin J Dixon, that was you holding that person's attention, and just wanting to get a bit more in the sort of in the mental bank, as it were, in the vault. And so I think that this is definitely something that needs to be explored and investigated. And what I find, it's good to have a couple of plates spinning, a couple of irons in the fire at one time. It's a numbers game, Treasure, let's face it. So you're always you've got a few options on the go.
Absolutely, that's a great shout. So there's a couple of different lakes I visit, so maybe I need to get a boyfriend in each lake or something like that. That would be a great shout, I think. I have to see who's obsessively watching me next time I go to a different lake as well. Although I don't want to get bogged down in swimming too much, but it's definitely a great shout. That, and also, like you say, looking for people in their workplace, that's going to be a good place for me to keep my eyes peeled, I guess.
Distribute your energies across all these different sort of options, and let me know how that goes, because I'm sure that there's lots of people who are looking out for where their next meal could come from, if you know what I'm saying, Treasure. I know
what you're saying. I can hear what you're saying loud and clear.
You're receiving it loud and clear, aren't you? And remember that actually, I mean, I know it sounds a bit twee, and it sounds a bit of a cliche, but you just make sure that you are loving you, number one. All right. And
yeah, very true. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, one thing that the audience might not know, anybody who's listening to this, but will you tell us about your recent project, Martin J Dixon?
Yes, I just so happen to have here with me, this is my book. So talking all this love stuff, this is a romantic comedy that I've written. So it's like a novel. It is not like a novel. It is a novel. No. So it's about, not me, I promise. It's about a fat gay comedian. We're very different though. This guy's name is George. And he runs away to the Isle of No Man. It's called the Isle of No Man. But it's pronounced Norman in the book.
Right.
But it's called the Isle of No Man. That's an apostrophe there. Isle of No apostrophe man. And it's about this fat gay comedian who runs away to the island because he gets dumped. And people always ask me if it's autobiographical, and I always tell them it's what I wish my life had been like after I'd been dumped. So it's kind of there's some ups and downs, and maybe the chance to find love again, but maybe not. I think it's a little bit about whether or not, when that time comes around, if you're ready to take it, take that chance. Also, hopefully, it's really, really funny. That's I like to think it's really funny. It certainly made me chuckle, but not always the best to judge your own material, are you?
No, I know that. And listen, normally I'm a bit like Richard Madeley. I just pretend that I've read the book, but I haven't really. But I'm going to fess up and say I haven't got me claws on a copy yet. But it's on my list to do that. And you are so funny, and I know that this is going to be a brilliant book. And haven't you got a little book launch as well happening in September?
I do, yes. So it's like the 11th of September, a place called Morocco Bound Bookshop, which is in London. It's near London Bridge Station. So it's like the 11th of September. It's a free event, but you can find a link in my bio if you wanted to pop along. Get yourself a copy.
Yeah, if you wanted to look at our YouTube link, you can see the show notes, and I'm going to put a bit of a link to that in there for you. And listen, you hear about this all the time, don't you? You get your tickets to Beyonce, you get your tickets to Taylor Swift. Brilliant. We love them, we love what they do, and we want to support them. They don't really need our support, but we do that. We have got so many talented people in our circles, and anyone who's listening to this now, you are in our circle, cock. You can't get away from that. You don't get away that easily. You're in our community, and there's so many talented people who listen to this podcast, who come and talk to me on this podcast. We got to support each other, grassroots. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is. Thank you so much, Kitty. I really appreciate it. And actually, I haven't had any. I'm supposed to get a box of copies that I can give out to people. So you're on my list to give out to, but I haven't yet been able to do that. But I think you're very good at supporting people. So I love that. Yes, to take you on the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you might want to go and send one of those copies to Oprah. But you're best off sending it to me, because I've got at least 3 women down at my salon right now, and I'll be able to shift a couple of those for your treasure. So listen, when we're talking about units, I'm your girl. Do you know what I mean? I can shift those for you. Listen, thank you so much for your time and coming to talk to us today. Let me know how you get on in Greg's. Let me know how you get on in the care homes, and let me know how you get on with that bed, being away from that wall, and how it's going to change your life.
I will do. Thank you so much, Kitty, for your help. You're going to change my life. I can feel it. Thank you.
Oh, ta-ra, cock. Ta-ra. Oh, wasn't that gorgeous? Oh, my God. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We have got some bloody talented people. You need to go and check out Martin J Dixon's work and support. Do you know how hard it is to write a sentence, let alone a bloody book, and birth it and publish it and all that stuff? And there's, it's a big deal, and we're going to support each other. If anybody's got anything that they're working on, get in touch with me, Treasure. You know how you do that. Hiya, it's me, Kitty, HIYAITSMEKITTY. If you know anybody who's going up to Edinburgh, send them my way. All right, I'll be able to sort your verrucas out, whilst also laminating your eyebrows, and it'd be my bloody pleasure. All right, from the bottom of my colonic to the tips of my acrylics, I've been Kitty Cassie. See you next time. Bye.
Like, follow, subscribe, sign your life savings over to Call It Kitty. Available on all good podcast platforms.